Sorel boots are as ubiquitous to the wintry Midwest as snowmobiles and sleds. In fact, in my native state of Minnesota, it's pretty much a residency requirement that you learn how to snowboard in these boots. But I bet you didn't know that in the year 2000, Sorel's parent company, Kaufman Rubber, went bankrupt. So, are the new Caribou Sorels as good as the old ones? Let's just talk basic design of these boots. We've got leather uppers with large aggressive D-rings. It's a Nubuck leather, which is a top grain leather. I'll be getting into that in a little bit. And underneath the ankle is a rubber shell, which is handcrafted supposedly and vulcanized. And then on the inside of the boot, you've got a felt liner. Basically, it's an aggressively winterized design. The outsole is made of the same piece of rubber as the rest of the lower shell, and it's made out of what Sorel calls an AeroTrac design, clearly a non-loading design meant to shed snow easily. So the Caribous are basically a pair of L.L.Bean boots infused with some polar bear DNA. And that's no surprise, since that's what Sorel has been marketing since they introduced the first Sorels in 1962. Let's discuss the leather choice used in the uppers. Nubuck leather is a top grain cattle leather, which has been sanded or buffed on the grain side, that is the outside of the leather, and it gives the leather a slightly suede-like appearance, a bit of a nap, and that's in spite of the leather being fairly stiff, unlike suede. Now, this is not an ideal choice for winter boots because it's going to be harder to clean and harder to apply an aftermarket waterproofer to. Another concern to keep in mind is that if the outsoles get worn out, Sorel doesn't offer presently any sort of recrafting ability to the lowers. So once these rubber lowers get worn out, they're basically not good anymore. Most people aren't probably going to worry about that too much because these boots are so overbuilt. They have a huge triple stitch all the way around the lowers, gigantic D-ring eyelets which are each individually stitched to the uppers, along with very thick laces that are going to be easily able to be tied with a pair of gloves. The tongue, of course, is stitched to the rest of the uppers so that snow isn't going to easily get in. It's not the cleanest attachment to a tongue to the rest of the upper that I've ever seen, but it is going to work, and the tongue is nice and tall. These boots are made in China, and the lack of craftsmanship does come out when you examine the inside of the boot. They appear to be painted with some sort of rubber substance along the tongue as well as in the heel box. It's very shoddily done, and you can clearly see the leather quality is not great either. The grain isn't very even. The entire rubber unit for the lower of the shoe is lined with a very thin and cheap fabric. Probably not as big of a deal because you are going to have that liner in there, but it is disappointing to see this kind of construction in a boot that retails for $140. Another fault is the thickness of the leather choice. This is a fairly stiff and fairly thin leather. Now, that just means they're going to be more uncomfortable to wear, and it's just not a very nice leather for the price. Look at the liner real quick. You've obviously got that Faux shearling liner at the top of the boot. It's not particularly soft. One nice innovation to the old boots is the use of this neoprene to give the liner a little bit of stretch. Old Sorels were really hard to get your feet into, and that's no longer true. They also have a full liner at the bottom of the foot, which, if I recall correctly, the old ones didn't have that. So overall, I have reservations about these boots. Sorel is now owned by Columbia, and I think they don't have quite the glory of the old Kaufman Sorels. Basically, you're sacrificing levels of construction compared to the made in Canada ones, and maybe inferior materials too. That's an interesting question. I remember being able to do more to waterproof the uppers of my old Sorels. These particular boots are my dad's, and they are true to size. I guess overall, if you want a pair of Sorels and you want the classic Sorel design. They are still out there. However, there's going to be no way for you to get these boots serviced in the future, and there are made in North America alternatives. Hammock you see here is made in Canada, and of course there's also L.L.Bean. What alternatives do you recommend? Thanks a lot for watching.